Welcome to the HyperIP for VMware installation video. In this video, we will create a HyperIP virtual appliance, perform initial configuration using a console interface, and show how to request and install HyperIP keys. This video assumes you have downloaded and extracted the HyperIP download package, are working with vSphere 4.0 or greater hosts, and resources available to install HyperIP on the hosts. When the HyperIPs are installed in the network, data sent from server Lisa to server Bart will be directed to HyperIP Marge and wrapped in the HyperIP protocol for delivery across the WAN. If Lisa wants to communicate to servers or storage external to the remote vSphere host, that data transfer will follow a similar path. Using a vSphere client, connect to vCenter or your host. Deploy an OVF template and follow the wizard to complete the installation. When the VM is deployed, select Edit Settings and connect the VM interfaces to your virtual switch. The top interface is used for all HyperIP data transfers. This interface is mandatory and may also be used for management. Map this interface to the network your servers and storage will use to communicate with HyperIP. The second interface is used only when a separate management network is required. Power on the virtual HyperIP. Open a console to configure HyperIP onto the network. The default user ID and password are HIPADMIN, HIPADMIN. In the console interface, a question mark lists the commands available. Shift page up and page down allow movement in the console to view commands that may have scrolled off the page. Tab will complete a command or give you a list of possible completions. Entering a command and question mark will provide options for that command. Change the admin password using the command cfg password admin. Enter the new password, re-enter the new password. In this video, HyperIP Marge will be used as an example. We will require the host name, data port IP address with network mask, and the default gateway. The Quick Start Guide in the download package contains data sheets to assist in gathering your site information. Configure the host name using the command cfg hostname. Configure the data interface using the command cfg interface data IP address net mask in dotted decimal notation interface speed use auto to auto negotiate and MTU size. Configure a default gateway using the command cfg default gateway IP address. To allow user communication with these interfaces, we need to configure firewall access. I will allow HTTPS on the data port using the command cfg access on data HTTPS. I will also enable ping so we can verify connectivity. If you are using the management interface, execute these commands using mgmt for the interface. Note the data and management interfaces cannot be on the same subnet. The initial interface configuration is complete. Check the restarts necessary to implement changes by executing show restarts. For the changes we made, a reboot is required. Enter reboot. When the reboot is completed, log in using a web browser. The default password is HIPADMIN, HIPADMIN. If you changed the password earlier, use that password. The browser interface is made up of 3 panels. The upper left panel contains drop-down menus used for navigation and common commands. The left panel is configuration and section-specific commands. The right panel shows command output and will contain data entry tables, which you'll see as we complete the configuration. The initial login will put you into the Install Commands page. The HyperIP serial number will be displayed under the Product Information section. Copy the serial number, making sure you capture all the characters. Request a key for this HyperIP by clicking on the HyperIP Product Key Request link in the right-hand panel. Paste the serial numbers into the HyperIP serial numbers text box. Fill in the information on the page. If you received an email with a download request reference number, enter your email address and the reference number. Click Retrieve My Info to fill in the form. Complete the key request by reading and accepting the license agreement. Keys will be sent via email. Keys are not required to continue the HyperIP configuration. If you have not received the keys after completing this video, move on to the configuration video. It will note when keys are required. After receiving your keys, navigate to the Install Commands page, enter the key in the License Key window, and click Install Key. A restart force will be required to start the HyperIP software. It's always a good idea to check pending restarts in case any additional changes are pending. To check required restarts, select Show Pending Restarts in the Services drop-down menu and click Service Apply. Any restarts will be displayed. No restarts are required due to configuration changes. We do need to execute a restart force to start the software with the installed key. Select Restart Force in the Services drop-down menu and click Service Apply. Confirm the restart. On a restart force, when the upper left window shows the Click Here link, click on it to reconnect with the HyperIP. You have just learned how to import a HyperIP virtual appliance, configure interface and access parameters to install HyperIP on the network, and request and install HyperIP keys. You are ready to complete the configuration using the browser interface. View the configuration video to complete the HyperIP configuration. If you have any questions, please contact us. Thank you for watching this video.